Hello, everybody. Hopefully you're having a fantastic Sunday. We are here for the weekly collective reading where we're going to take a look at the next 7 days, plus a special topic, which is actually pretty cool. I don't think we've done this in a while. It's increasing your net worth by increasing your self-worth. And the cool thing with this, especially for all of you that have been hoping for a little bit more on the healing side, this gives you a chance to really focus on things that might be blocking you in your past. So Apollo wanted to come up for just a second. He's on his shaggier sort of, mode here, but I thought I'd bring him up to say hello. Now we can get started. Thank you for joining me, everybody. It's good to see you. All right. As I said, we are looking at the collective here, folks. Starting off, as always, with channeled messages. Interesting thing, as I was walking Apollo, I was like, oh yeah, I have to finish up the, I have to do the channeled messages, and a bee ran into me, and we're going to talk about the bee a little bit as well, which is a really cool totem because it's about coordination, it's about organization, and I think it's going to be exactly what we need to kick off October. So happy October, everybody. Again, this is for everybody that's present. We will have an elemental forecast that we'll look at in just a second, but we're going to start off with these channeled messages. Let me get the display set up and we will begin. Hope you all are doing well. So as I said, we're going to be talking about a bee, in particular a honeybee. And again, as I was walking this little one kind of came straight in front of me and hung out there for a second saying, get out of my way. I'm trying to get some work done. Definitely some leadership vibes, some Queen of Swords vibes there. Really no aggression, more just sort of like I'm in the middle of something. And so this may actually be something that's beneficial for all of you in this week ahead, is really to make sure that if somebody is kind of interrupting the flow, that you redirect and say, I'd like to talk to you and this is important. You want to put something on my calendar? Can you give me 5 minutes, or can I finish what I'm doing? Like, basically put some boundaries down, let them know that they matter, but also finish what you've started, or, basically you're establishing some ground rules, which can be difficult at first, but it's going to be really effective once you get it into practice. Speaking up, coordinating, keeping yourself and keeping others on track. These are the things you want to focus on, okay? And then, of course, there's this big team energy with the honeybee as well. Actually, if I go back to this, bees are highly specialized and they know how to stay in their swim lanes. So this is a time where it's important that people don't get in each other's ways. So that's part of the leadership and coordination piece, okay? Sparking momentum. So as a pollinator, the bee represents the promise of something coming to fruition. But the interesting thing, and what I wanted to focus on today, is that so if a bee pollinates one of my flowers outside, it may take months or sometimes even a full year for some of those things to come to a full seed, for something to grow from that. So give yourself time to see results. They're not always, snap of a finger. And today is about taking the first step. Tomorrow is about continuing to take the next step. It gets easier each day. And there comes a point where you'll also look and think, wow, I've made a lot more progress than I imagined. And some of that is simply by not getting too much into your headspace. So that's what the busy bee this morning helped me kind of bring forth for all of you. And I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to now take a look at a 7-day forecast. And let me take a look and see which deck is calling to me. While I'm doing that, by the way, feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. All right. Let's get everything zoomed in and begin. So again, everything here is for all that are present until we get into the elemental forecast. This is the 7-day forecast. So let me just go ahead and pull everything first, and then we'll talk a little more about what's coming through. Thank you so much, Sammy, for your contribution. I'll say thanks to everybody collectively at the end who gives back. I do appreciate it, and I do keep an eye on it as I'm doing the reading, so much appreciated. All right, so this is for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I am shuffling. We have a lot of reversals this week, so we're going to be looking at things from a different perspective. All right, Friday, things are finally on the right side. All right, it's an interesting week ahead. I can already see it with the cards and with the the arrangement as well. All right, let me just get to the day markers. We're going to start off with this Sunday. So for those joining in on the live stream, you are learning to manage stress. I like this Ten of Swords because it shows that a lot of times it's up here. The sort of like endless questions and anxiety and sometimes the external stuff that's projected on us. So it's an unusual and also a very beautiful illustration that shows us the ability to think past the fear and to imagine a different outcome. So I like to talk about putting a question to things like when you think, I can't do this, I won't do this, it's never going to work. Why can't I do this? Why can't, or how can I fix this if there's something that's not working? And then you just simply say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to manage this. And in fact, I'm going to surprise people because I'm capable. You just start to talk yourself into the affirmative instead of thinking strictly in the critical. And the Ten of Swords is sometimes fear-based in the form of, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of falling on my face, because that's usually what the Ten of Swords looks like. So in this one, it's just in your head. And if you can think it from a different perspective or view it from a different perspective, that's when the magic starts to happen, okay? Today's a day for healing. Some of you may be going through other things in your life where you really do just need to kind of take it easy. It can indicate chronic fatigue, pain, or difficulties, sometimes even mourning something. So if you've been having a difficult moment, this is a day to just relax. For those of you that have the luxury of relaxing, I know some people have to work. I'm working as well. But if you have the day off, do something that is really, nurturing and caring for yourself. All right. And that's the main message today. It's not to get too much into your headspace, to nurture yourself, and to try to see things from a different perspective. All right. Let's move on to Monday and see what the energy is for Monday. So we have coming out of your shell a little bit, but possibly having some difficulty in sort of just stepping into the spotlight. The star is one of the best cards you can pull because it's connection to source, it's visibility, it's things moving in the right direction. But when the star is reversed, it's about sometimes dimming or muting one's light in order to not sort of like, sometimes we're just afraid to outshine somebody. But I like to remind folks that in typical solar systems out there, there can be double or triple star systems. So at the center of everything, there are multiple stars. There's room for more than one star in the room, figuratively speaking, and literally when we're looking at astronomy, not just astrology. So don't mute your light. And like energy attracts like energy. So when you are authentic, when you are your true self, when you're shining and beaming, other people are going to be attracted to that. And the people that aren't, that is conditional love. That is jealousy. That is not something that you probably want to connect with anyway. So shine brightly. Get more connected to your soul's path, to what feels right. Just really focus on being as authentic as possible on Monday. It is a day where if you're willing to put yourself out there, people are receptive. It's just a matter for some of you of getting through like stage fright or speaking in front of people or kind of not overanalyzing yourself either. Because most people see this and you're worried about trying to meet up to expectations that may be unnecessarily critical or harsh, okay? Tuesday's pretty good, even with it in reverse. It's pretty auspicious here. So we have the Ace of Swords. With the reverse of this card, it's basically saying there may be something in your life that you need to edit, revise, revisit, restructure. All of these things are a piece of that. We also see a key in this particular deck and a focus on listening. And with any of the court cards, this is even though we have a person on it, but particularly like pages, I always mention that communication goes both ways. So with the ace, which is usually an inception of an idea, one thing you want to do is listen to and pay attention to what's going on in the environment, because it could inform or unlock your potential or an idea. So be very open and don't be too rigid in one way of doing or saying or thinking something. And the more open you are, the more things start to flow. It's a great day for writing, editing, revising, or even just kicking something off where there's been stagnation previously. Okay? All right, let's dig into the midweek. We have Temperance in reverse. I think this is going to be a day where you have to just be patient with yourself and others. I know that that is much easier said than done, but it's going to be advantageous. So don't rush yourself, don't rush others. Stay a moment longer wherever you're at. And remember, like I said with the channeled messages, thanks to the bee, it is about kicking off the momentum, knowing that it will be self-sustaining after that. The typical temperance angel, which I might pull up in just a second, is has 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the land. So before committing to something, you get to sleep on an idea. You get to sort of like take your time. You don't have to dive in head first. I think that's what I'm trying to say on this one. So definitely, here you go. Give yourself time to be like this angel, to test the water, to balance out everything, and to get clear on which direction you want to head. And then you can go. So temperance is just about taking a moment and then getting clear and not rushing yourself. It's a much gentler sort of cousin to the Hanged Man because you've already learned how to pause, but temperance is saying the speed. Sometimes we compare ourselves. You know what it is for some of you? It's an arbitrary deadline. You said I was going to do this by this date, but some things happened in your life and you might need to extend the timeline a little bit. Or you're looking at people in their life where they have achieved or sort of attained certain things and you're thinking, I want that. Give yourself time and know that each person is on a different path. And just because they've gotten certain things doesn't mean they're any more or less happy than you. All right, we have another ace coming through. So I really like the Tuesday and Thursday energy. Ace of Pentacles. This was the beginning. This is someone coming through and being receptive to it. So in the reverse state, there's a couple things that we can talk about here. First and foremost, you may decide to invest in yourself. You may look at something and say, I'm in this for the long haul and I really want to make sure that I give this my all, that I do everything that I can in this area so that I can accomplish what I've set my mind to do. So you might be taking some time off or some time out to go to school, to train, to learn, to read. You might be moving money around for your own sort of long-term development, and all of that is good. You may need to ask for something if you need help. An Ace of Pentacles has a good chance of getting it. In reverse, it's saying we're falling short of some time, energy, money, some resource. Can I count on you to help out? And make a case for why they should, but ask for help if you need it. Someone around you may also be needing something. So we're seeing a movement or a lack. It's not just a simple day where, something lands in your lap. It's more of you needing to move one thing from one place to another or asking for something. So it's resource management, if you will, but you have a great chance of seeing something happen. And like I said with the seed, it takes time for things to grow. So if you've just planted this Ace of Pentacles, the Temperance card was saying, be patient. So be patient, okay? And that's pretty much everything. Sorry, I took off the marker. That was everything for Thursday. By and large, a pretty good day. Moving on to the end of the week. Ironically, it's upright, and I would have preferred this one to be reversed. But for Friday, we have the Two of Swords. So it's interesting that this person, it's a different version of being blindfolded here. The blindfolded energy, we're looking at this birdhouse. It can come from being too closed in, sort of needing to get out of the four walls around you. So it could be your home, it could be your community, it could be the place that you're working. Sometimes, to use an old Orwellian term, this can be groupthink, where a certain group of people only see what they want to see, and you have to get out of that so you can get a more objective point of view. So really good days to solicit feedback, to ask for advice, to ask questions in general. Don't accept things on the surface, and especially because of what I just talked about, just because it's popular, it doesn't mean it's right. And so you might need to look and do something that is contrary to what's being kind of pushed upon you, because it is the right thing to do. Because sometimes when you do the right thing, you have to make some waves. You have to shake the tree a little bit. And that's what this card is saying, okay? As we take a look at next Saturday, we have a card of rest, relaxation, recharging. Also reconnecting to your dreams, knowing that all of these things allow for your guides, your angels, your higher self to come through. So give yourself a rest, take a step back, don't fill up the entire schedule. It's going to be important to leave some room, leave some space. We don't have to work every single day. We don't have to accomplish things on an itinerary every single day. When you leave space for things, clarity comes through. Like this morning, I thought I was done. I had picked the topic, I made the graphic, I got everything set up, and I was like, oh yeah, I have to talk about the totem. But I needed to give myself a little bit more time for that. And so little things like that, if you are constantly working and everything's okay, you might forget something. So I always try to give myself an extra half hour so I can walk the dog and just think before we get started today. So give yourself the same benefit in the morning, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes. I know those of you that have kids, it might be harder, but or work a couple jobs, but having that half hour of meditation, even if it's like while you're taking a shower or a bath or something, it's going to be really beneficial, and you'll find like all these things are coming to your head because you're not really trying. So my encouragement on Saturday is to leave some room for nothing, because nothing is still something. It's going to allow you space. Give yourself space, and that's going to be key. Okay, let's take a look at a week from today. Next Sunday, we have the sun in reverse. Very similar energy, twinning energy almost to the star. So we have all these powerful cards this week, but a lot of them are hesitating. And so with this one, the sun is a birthing card, typically a baby. I do love this illustration. We could kind of ostensibly think that the bird might be that little baby, but I'll pull it while we're talking. This is a time to let go of something that you've been working on. The baby's ready to be born, figuratively speaking. So if there's a project, an idea, a goal, this little baby wants to come out and and have its day in the sun. This is also a card of charisma, and much like the star card, it's saying when you allow yourself to just beam, to be yourself, to be bright, then other people are attracted to that. So don't hold back. We got that message twice this week. And for any number of reasons, some of you may be hesitating or having some difficulty, but it's important. This is a day to kind of put yourself out there. Great day for social endeavors, great day for launching, announcing, all of those sort of things if you have a project or an opportunity that you want to put out there, okay? There also could be someone in your life that's rather demanding. The sun card in reverse is someone who thinks the world revolves around them. And so like that little bee was kind of coming out saying, hey, pay attention to me. I may be small, but I pack a punch. And I moved aside and let the bee do its work. So, you might need to remind someone that there's more than one person in the room. And yeah, you know what I'm saying with that, because you had some of the boss energy come through with the totem. Okay, quickly looking at highlights and lowlights, and then we'll look at the elements. So highlights this week, Tuesday and Thursday. Got 2 aces. And I would also say, so these are the days where things start to move, and you start to see, again, ideas and resources coming in and out. Socializing days, Monday and next Sunday, because we have the star and the sun, which are just 2 stars. And so also if you put out something for consideration, or if you're trying to manifest something, it may actually come to fruition on the weekend. So those are your power days, the most challenging days for at least the rest of the week, but not in like a scary sort of way. Today, taking it easy. Midweek, patience. End of the week, asking questions. And then again, on Saturday, it's just about rest. Most of the challenging cards are just about pacing and opening your heart and opening your head a little bit. So I think we can manage that. All right, now we're going to move on to the elements. We're going to look at fire, earth, air, and water. This is the only piece today that is specific to any sign. So I think I'm going to just keep using the same deck. I love it. Almost wish I'd use it for the main spread, but we'll pick another fantastic one for the main spread and see what's coming through here. Thank you for the gifting of memberships. I just saw that out of the corner of my eye. Eileen, you're always great with that. Thank you. Welcome to all the newest members. And thank you to everybody else who's giving back. I do see it. I'm just focusing on giving the reading first. Thanks to Dakota, who's recognizing folks in real time. I appreciate that. All right. So, fire, earth, air, water. Okay, let's start off with Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, all of the fire signs that are watching. we have a reversed Hermit, which is about coming out and doing everything that we just talked about, kind of being the spotlight, sharing your wisdom, sharing your thoughts, speaking up. You're going to see a lot of movement when you do that. And I like that this person is it a mermaid? The mermaid is atop a lighthouse. So this is basically being the light. Normally the Hermit would have a lantern. She's literally sitting right where the lantern would be. So be the light is the message. And for many of you, you might be understanding maybe for the first time in a while that you don't need, it's nice to have, but you don't need the support of everybody else. You don't need the advice of everyone else. You've got what it takes. This is something we all learn in the middle or latter part of our lives because we have to learn to rely on ourselves. But you can do this at any age. So you already have this sort of deep wisdom and insight. This is a week to come out of your shell, to speak up a little bit more, to let people sort of know what you have inside with insights and energy and ideas. Really just kind of step into the spotlight this week, okay? It's a good card. It's also kind of a little bit of a, for those of you that are wondering, have I done enough research? This is typically a yes, because you can overanalyze. The Seven of Cups can represent this. The Hermit in reverse can represent this as well. It can also represent not being afraid to try something that is counter to a traditional path, because Hermit, Hierophant, Emperor, Empress, they're kind of old-fashioned energies. So with the Hermit, you can kind of go in a new path and be sort of like just out of the box thinking if you want to this week, okay? Overall, it's a great energy. This is like the wizard of the major arcana, so you can make anything happen that you want to. You just have to start to make the sort of first step. So this is nicely in alignment with the totem that we had earlier. All right, so Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, you're wise. Are you ready, though, to kind of step in and use that wisdom? That's the question this week. All right, moving on to my earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. We have a perspective shift for you, the Five of Cups. So this is a different illustration. I like it. I like that she's holding on to the thing where the growth is, and the three flowers that have fallen off represent something that has passed and you can't put it back in. It's kind of like can't put the genie back in the bottle sometimes. But let me pull the traditional Five of Cups because it'll highlight a couple of things, but because I haven't memorized, I'll talk about it. The first thing is some of you need to move through a stage of mourning. Here's your traditional one, and I think it does a better job of showing the mourning piece. So sometimes, and it can even just be a transition. So like when you're about to step into something new, this card can come because you're looking back and thinking, but I'm going to miss that group. I'm going to miss this thing. So like graduation day, right? It can also be literally kind of losing someone in your life. This is one of the mourning cards. But what's cool about it is it's showing that the universe has literally it has your back, the two cups here. So there's love, there's support, there's opportunities. The sooner you can process the emotions, and it's your own schedule, and I never would rush anyone on that, but the sooner you can reap the rewards of all the other stuff that you've done in your life to bring in the two cups behind you. So it's also saying there are things growing, there are good things. Yes, there are challenges, but there are good things. And so if you can focus on what you can control, where you can see a return on your energy, then it could be a pretty cool week. It's a perspective shift. Talking to somebody can help, and writing things down and just sort of giving yourself time to meditate can help too. But I get it. There are certain things that take more time than others. This card is just reminding you there is a silver lining and there is some cool stuff. So if you can change your perspective, you can start to see some things happening this week. And the two cups can be partnership. So I would focus on leaning on the support of others or opening yourself up to engaging with others. You could meet new people this week if you want to. So a more social week for you, and an emotional processing week as well. And that's for Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Okay, moving on to air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Well, we got the Hanged Man. So you feel like some of you feel like you're in a staying pattern where you're like, why is it taking so long? There's something that's unveiling. We see the zipper kind of coming down here. It's like the firmament is getting exposed. So it takes a moment for the next thing to come through. This week, what you don't want to do is lose momentum on something that you've created some traction behind. You don't want to rush to do something that doesn't feel right, give yourself time. I think basically a way to rethink of the Hanged Man is you're exactly where you need to be, but you may not be, kind of like we just saw with the other one, you may need to look at things from a different perspective as well. So we have a Hanged Woman in this card, but the Hanged Man is basically upside down, looking at the world from a new perspective and getting a clarity on where they just came from, right? So I think retrospective stuff this week would be good, looking at what you've accomplished this year so far, what you're hoping to do with the next 3 months. I just did a 3-month reading. You can check that out on the main page. And, you know, kind of figuring out, is there something that I want to do to make this happen? So it's a planning week. It's a retrospective week. It's a patience sort of period of time for you. And then things will, just like this, once you have enough momentum, there'll be this big reveal and you'll think, oh, it actually all did align, didn't it? Okay. There's a ton of birds on this. So if we zoom in real quick, don't be afraid to talk to others, to research, to socialize. All of those things are going to help you get your clarity as well. All right. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, be patient with yourself. Pace yourself this week. Look at stuff, research, get a clear vision of what you want to do, then act. All right. Moving on to my water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. 3 of Pentacles. It's a pretty productive week. You have a chance of finishing something big. There's recognition at hand as well. This is also a teamwork card, and it's pulling in the best possible partners. So if you are nearly finished, don't skimp on craftsmanship or this is a time to basically make sure that the quality is exactly what you want it to be. And we can see that here. Typically, we would see a craftsperson sort of looking up at the kind of like an architect putting the final touches on something, and people making sure it's all to spec and all to code. But that can also represent, it's a collegiate card, so it's education, it's recognition, it's publishing, it's acclaim, but it's also making sure that that quality and the details are paid attention to. So this is especially for those of you that are either working on yourself or working on a project or just working this week to really know that it's worth it. And at the end of the week, you're going to feel like, I did it. So keep up the momentum and the quality. And if you're teaming up with someone, team up with the best possible people. Okay. And that is everything in the elements. So just doing a quick check here, we're going to move on to the special topic next. This week for the special topic, you chose increasing your self-worth, which then increases your net worth. And self-worth is an emotional sort of thing, and it's a healing sort of thing. So even though we have some money and some resources coming in, we actually are going to look at the healing portion, which we don't always get to do on the weekend collectives. So thanks, folks, for picking that. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get started. Interesting. Oops. We have a very similar energy there that I saw with the Hanged Man with the Four of Cups. And we have the Four of Cups, and those two cards are coming through kind of like as partners on that one, which is interesting. All right. Let's bring in a little bit more light. There we go. Okay, let's get started, everybody. We're going to begin with the catalyst first, and the catalyst helps us create some action and movement. We have foundation and achievements. So the interesting thing with the foundational energy here is you don't want to rush. If you're building a house, you want to make sure that that's the most important thing. They're building a new, probably condominium complex or something here on my block, but they spent months just putting in the foundation. Making sure that you know, they dig everything out, then they kind of lay everything in, put the plumbing, put the electricity in there. But it's probably been like 4 months or something where it's just been foundational work. Because if you don't have a firm foundation, it's a house of cards and things are going to fall apart. So in order to really build up because we're looking at the two different parts of this, I would say you've got to work on yourself. What's the foundation in your life? Your health. Your physical health and your emotional health. So these are the things that without them, the money or the accomplishments can't sit on top of that. And also if you get it, but you're not healthy and you're not happy, what good is it? So the foundation here is mental and physical health. Achievements follow that, but you have to focus on that first. We have a rainbow. Some of you have had some challenges, some loss, some difficulty. The rainbow represents rising above, and it represents the silver lining. So the focus here is not so much on what you don't have, but what you're doing to create a firmer foundation so that more things can come into your life and stick around, okay? The reason things maybe didn't before is because you had to focus on what was beneath the surface, right? So I just talked about digging that deep hole to kind of figure out what's there. So some of us are excavating and extricating and getting rid of all this stuff so that we can put something firmer in place. Okay, let's look at the cards here and begin with your centermost card here. And as I just glance at everything, we only have one really challenging card here in the deep past, the Devil. And most of them, there's a ton of cups, so many cups, so many cups. This is emotions, folks. That's kind of what I was expecting here, was healing coming through. Even though net worth is probably what pulled most of you in, I was interested in the self-worth portion, and we can see that. So let's look at this. So we've got a little bit of the net worth here, but so much emotions. All right, so 9 of Pentacles. Here's one of the challenges in this moment. This is a fiercely independent card. We can even see her strength here. She really doesn't necessarily want to ask for help. But there can be benefits from reaching out, from showing vulnerability, for not feeling like you have to carry the weight of the world. And the 9 of Pentacles sometimes does. Now, for many of you, it's like worth it because you get to prove like I can do this. But you don't have to do it all the time, all by yourself. As I'm looking at this as well, I was seeing if there was more than one butterfly, but we just see one butterfly at the center there. So this is a chance to change up your relationship with this sort of being like a perfectionist or being overly independent. For some of you, it's changing up your sort of connection to wealth in general here, the 9 of Pentacles. So if you've had any challenges in the past, now is a time to kind of look at it from a completely different angle. And I'm just taking a look here to make sure. I was curious. I'm like, was this reversed? It was reversed. So with the card in the reverse state, it's saying that you don't, what wants to kind of like now be in the past, if you're going to allow yourself to do that. So much like the Hanged Man, I'm going to double check this, but much like the Hanged Man, because I want to make sure. So I'm just looking at my replay here. Yep, she was upside down. Okay, so with the card upside down, again, it's saying I'm going to look at my sort of my focus on wealth too, because sometimes we think that money, acclaim, title, attention, validation, that equals happiness. So she's looking at other things that bring fulfillment in her life beyond that. So it's a different relationship with wealth, and a different, maybe for some of you, maybe even definition of wealth. We have the Prince of Pentacles on top of that. Let me take a quick drink and then we'll talk about that. Okay, Prince of Pentacles, a knight, basically. If you need or want to do something, this is a card of creating the action, and it's a bull here, so being bullish on the future. So thoughts are self-perpetuating. They also are ways of manifesting things. And so what you want to do instead is think to yourself, again, going back into the questioning, into then the able thoughts. So why can't I? I can, I will, I am. So we have to kind of work ourselves into this so that you can see that you need to be bullish on your future. Really believe in the possibilities. And unfortunately, there may be people in your life that kind of chipped away at the confidence. So they came in and they said, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And it started to stick after a while because it's easier to remember the bad stuff sometimes than the good stuff, to quote Pretty Woman. So allow yourself now to start to dream, why not? What if I can? And I'm kind of like a goal-oriented person, and also I like to show people it is possible. So I'll show you that you're wrong. I can use that as a sort of momentum. So for some of you, just prove people that they were wrong by being happy and successful. It's taking the initiative. It's being your own best hype person and your own best cheerleader. And then things start to move because of that. Because you're starting to move the way that you feel about something. And feelings do also affect outward manifestation as well. Okay? Let's go into your deep past and see what might be holding things back a little bit. All right, so we have the Devil right on top, and we see that some of you may feel like you're stuck. You're stuck in a situation because the Lovers on this particular, on the Devil card, are always chained together, that not because they want to be, but because they have to be. So it can be, for some of you, sticking with a job not because you enjoy it, but because it pays well. Sticking with a partner because you're not at a place now where you can afford to live on your own. A lot of times it does kind of come down to finances. So one of the things you can do is liberate yourself financially. Financial freedom is freedom, and you have the potential to turn things around for those of you that have had challenges. It's just a matter of taking the time and doing things right, and then knowing that everything is going to work out in time. So for some of you, it's liberating yourself by paying off debts, by saving things up, by maybe finding a different way to make money if you're not happy with what you're doing. So slowly unshackling, slowly sort of taking chain by chain and dismantling that connection of codependency between you and a person, place, or thing. It's also just the thoughts, again, the I can't, I won't, all of that jazz that parents and society tend to project on us. So you're going to move beyond that. The Devil likes to work with fear and anxiety and sadness. So when you can move out of that, the Devil goes and attaches like a barnacle to somebody else. So that's the main thing that I'm getting from this card. Beneath it, we have a card of success. So secretly, you know you can do this. For some of you, a way out of a situation could be through education. I'm going to keep it reversed so I don't forget that it was reversed. The Eight of Pentacles is about paying attention to details. So that's one thing. The Devil is in the details. So one thing that you want to look through now more mindfully is contractual agreements. I mean, he's all about contracts. This is about contracts. Now you're going to look at things with discernment and say, that's not right. We need to change this. I have questions about this. So you're going to be very vocal on the details. And you may even find that there are loopholes in existing contracts that can help liberate you. Get a good lawyer if you need to on certain things. This is also a card of nearly completing, but not being there just yet. Some of you might have gotten caught up in somebody's web of, stress or whatever. And so this is about liberating yourself from that too, because we even see on a card that normally just shows movement, something that kind of shows being stuck. I see the Spider as also really good at getting what they want. So this is a chance for you to focus on yourself. Education, completion of something that matters, looking at the details, and focusing also on the other things that might be around you. And don't get lost in just one thing. It's kind of like taking the blinders off and really seeing what's out there. By doing that, you're going to see more potential. Don't be afraid to look at money and finance. Don't be afraid to talk about it. I was actually right before, the reading, I was taking, again, a walk with my dog, but I was looking on TikTok just randomly, like we all do. And there was an author talking about how difficult it is to make money with a book, and how little she had to kind of get to be a bestseller, but like how she's not going to probably make money for a while because you have to sell a certain amount to get back your advance. And it's true, like, because I walked the path of getting something, even self-publishing, same thing. You have to put out so much money. The most of us hope to do is to break even with a book, and maybe make a very small amount for what could have accounted to years of your life. So you definitely want to talk about money. It's so good. Like, more authors need to speak up about how ridiculous and how you can't get paid when you're trying to do that. So if you're in a corporation, a part of the sort of workforce that's not getting represented, we're seeing a lot of this right now, right? People are striking and getting together. So we saw it with SAG and AFTRA. We saw it with the car companies here in the United States and also in Canada. So power in numbers, right? The devil doesn't want that. So speak up, look at the stuff, talk about money. And when you're not getting paid fair wages, things only happen through communication and change and bringing it up to light. Okay? So that's something else that's coming through with that. All right, let's get out of the devil stuff. Let's look at what's coming through in the recent past, and then also the crowning card. They're partners. And guess what's in the environment? Partners. And remember that for one of the signs I was reading, the 5 of Cups, which is partnership, that the 2 cups that was hidden in the background. All right, King of Wands in reverse, keeping an open mind. This is a really good boss card, but in the reverse state, sometimes they spend too much time and energy trying to fix everybody else, paying attention to everybody else's problems and everyone else's business. So when the card is reversed, it's saying spend the time and energy focusing on yourself and making a difference in, things, again, that you can control, that you are passionate about. It's all about fire. We can see him literally he's a fire breather. So don't be afraid to push energy into something this week. You'll see a return on it. It's better to put it into your own sort of projects and resources and self than to project it out to other people that may or may not be receptive. For the people that are receptive, wow, you can get a lot done. And we see a really beautiful partnership coming through here. So here's somebody that it's a multi-dimensional sort of being here. They can see things from a lot of different angles. You can as well. So this is not just the 3D what's here. It's looking in all dimensions. And this is about planning too. I mean, so for people that think, oh, esoteric stuff, it's way out there. Not really. You do this in corporate work all the time. You do a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. What is that? It's projecting. What is projecting? Intuiting. What is intuiting? Esoteric. So it's okay to look into the future and decide what it is that you want to do. Businesses do it all the time. They just don't call it that. Really good time for also kind of like seeing how it all comes together and looking beyond the obvious track, which is something that I talk about a lot here. So there's more than one way to do it, and she's looking at all of them. And this is a week where you get to taste and try and explore all of that different stuff. Okay? So there may be a better path than you're on. There may be a better way to do it. You don't have to make the decision this week per se. What you really want to do is just keep a super open mind, keep looking, keep asking questions, keep exploring, okay? And as you start to do some of that work, we can see him lifting up all these cups. He finds a flower under one of them. This is such a cool 4 of Cups. It's unusual. Typically, we see someone that is disinterested or bored or a little bit disgruntled, and there's a 4th cup floating in the air. This one sees someone that's kind of awakened, and we see the cosmic awakening in the background. I was also seeing that zipper coming down for the air signs, like the firmament. So we see that happening here, and there's something that you didn't expect. Added help, a new idea, things are better than you think. There's a rose under all, after all of this sort of exploration. I'll pull the traditional one here for a second. But the main thing here is not to discount something before you've had a chance to really sort of like read it, see it, taste it. Like people will say, oh, I didn't like that movie. Did you see it? Not really, but I heard about it. Or like, I didn't like that book, but they didn't read the book. You know, you need to actually consider the material before making a decision. And sometimes we've made up our mind before we've had a chance to do that. The other thing that this card has to do with is comparing yourself unfairly or unnecessarily with others. So here's your kind of disgruntled, bored, or upset person. Entitled can sometimes be a part of this. And with the card, well, actually it wasn't reversed, it's just a different version of it here. This person is actually saying, well, let's just try this out. So I like the energy of this card because we don't have that sort of thing that you see with the traditional one, right? He's literally got his arms crossed and he's kind of throwing a tantrum. If there's anyone around you that's throwing a tantrum or is lacking the ability to see things, there's only so much you can do. It's kind of like if you do know little kids in your life, sometimes you just let them throw the fit for a second and get it out, and then usually they'll come back down to earth a little bit. So one thing I would say this week is if you are feeling that sense of, you know, the tantrum, the fit, the energy, take a walk, meditate, kind of get the emotions out in a more constructive way rather than verbalizing them. I think it'll help you in the long run. Like, you can talk to someone, but don't just sort of like say things without getting yourself back into an even space, because the next card is the King of Cups in reverse. And this is just, I never really talk about it this way, but this is how it's coming through today. The King of Cups reversed is messy, and the conversation is messy because it's just putting it all out on the table, just saying what you want to say without really thinking about the long term, or you know it. Have you ever had, I mean, I'm sure you have, I can't be the only one, but there's one part of you saying, don't say it. And the mouth is just engaged and you can't stop it. The words come out. That can be the King of Cups because it's the mouth is being kind of controlled by the emotions here. And so slow down, take a deep breath, listen, and take care of yourself. Do some things this week that create stability, joy. And if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling triggered, even if you're feeling really inspired, don't like dive head first before you know what you're diving into. And that's all this is about, like reining in the emotions a little bit. It's a very sensitive, it's a very psychic, it's a very creative card. We like those aspects of it. I like that he's willing to kind of let go of some stuff, and I think that's key. Don't let someone tug you into their own problems. I've been in that road before where you let someone else get you worked up. It's almost like you're doing their work, and then you take the brunt of the blame, and meanwhile they're kind of walking away clean. So, you know, try not to let emotions pull you into an unnecessary entanglement. And that's what I get with that. I've never viewed him as that. I've never said that in like 8.5 years, but there was something messy about this. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it clear. Let's keep it collected. Remember the B. And don't be afraid to partner up or talk to somebody this week. We've got the Two of Cups. We have the partnership coming through loud and clear here. So I like that. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this is a mausoleum, right? The Taj Mahal. So there could be a chance for love after you've lost something. For some of you, this can be, or a chance to rebuild, kind of like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So we have both a symbol of the past and now something new in the future. And also something that has the potential to last a while. So if there's a new partnership that's coming in, I really like the energy around it. And I think it's important to just celebrate how long it took to get here. There's so many beautiful things about that. So again, the sort of like death and rebirth energy. And then we have all of the lilies here, which represent coming through difficult period and still blooming and still shining. And then we have the partnership here. So you may find that in the throes of all this stuff that's going on, there's a new friend, there's a new opportunity, there's a chance to really kind of celebrate too, because the Two of Cups can be that. Okay, now as we look at hopes, fears, and opportunities, we have the beautiful Nine of Cups coming through, and it's kind of like hippie, psychedelic 1960s vibe, which I like, because it's asking you to, when I was a kid, I remember my parents using that phrase, trip the light fantastic, but it's really about like, don't be afraid to have a good time. And we just talked about a lot of stuff that was going on that may have held you, like you feel like you have to hold back. It's not okay to have fun. It's okay. Especially for those of you that have been through a loss in your life. This is about making sure that you're connecting with the things that do bring joy, that you're looking at the sunny side of the street, that you're looking at the silver lining, knowing that there is something good that really kind of gets you excited about getting up each and every day. This is about avoiding extremes. So, you know, the card is upright, so I think you've got a pretty good week ahead. But with this, because we got a ton of cups, I have to keep it real here. King of Cups in reverse, the Nine of Cups and the Ace of Cups. There's a lot of cups. There's a lot of water spilling everywhere. So if you do have a chance to go to a party, or if you are thinking of, you know, spending some money or treating yourself, this is just about moderation. That's it, folks. Not going to extremes, and you can still have some fun. And then there's no regrets at the end of the week, right? We have a really beautiful card in the outcome, the Ace of Cups. This is possibly new love, possibly a new opportunity. This can also be an improvement of general just emotional state and well-being. And it's basically growth too. So your worth comes through all the stuff we just talked about. And when you have more than enough, this is when more comes your way. It's ironic, right? Because if you need or want something, if it's an empty cup and you are really thirsty, it's harder to get what you're looking for. We're talking figuratively, whether it's a relationship or a job. When you're job seeking and you really, really need it, it's harder sometimes, if you notice that. When you're looking for love and you're just like, oh, it's never going to happen, it feels like it's even harder. So this is about really focusing on one simple phrase. You are enough. You're going to say to yourself, I am enough. I'm more than enough for myself and more than enough for someone else. And anyone would be lucky to have me. That's your mantra. But you have to feel like you're more than enough for yourself first. The cup fills up from within. You don't get it from somebody else. Okay? And that's the magic here in self-worth, net worth. You have to be self-fulfilled first. And then the more you are, the more opportunities, then it's self-perpetuating. It's almost like an avalanche of awesomeness. But it starts with the understanding that you've already got it. Okay? That's the magic. That's why you all tuned in. It's the Ace of Cups at the end, not the Ace of Pentacles. It is about emotions this week, and it's about feeling good about yourself, about your life, about what you're doing. And if things aren't aligned yet, you're going to work on that and get to the place where, with or without the partnership, and it wants to come in, folks, for those of you that are looking, but with or without that, you can do this, okay? We did have the most independent card at the center here, one of the most anyway, in the minor arcana, okay? So now we're going to expand this a little bit further, looking at the health, wealth, love, and destiny cards, knowing that each is multifaceted and multi-part. As we look at the energy surrounding health, we have say yes to your higher calling. I feel like I said that multiple times with the sun card and with the star card, right? So be a human exclamation point. Okay, that's interesting. By that, I think it means be enthusiastic, be optimistic, have some fun, be loud, be seen. And we see this person kind of stepping into their light. If I turn it in different angles, you can see she's holding on to the sun or to the star and emanating that energy too. And remember, we had the lighthouse too that came through this week too, with that same sort of energy. So if you're willing and ready to be bold, then again, you may lose a few people, but you may gain more as you start to step into this new chapter of your life. If mom or dad or sibling or partner, typically the closest people in your life, said no to you or made you say no to a path, or you put something on the back burner so that you could prioritize them, you're now coming into a stage of your life where you get to say yes to your dream. Because I will again put out there, if you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? I never say life is short. You don't want to project that. Life is finite though. And why not enjoy now? And why put it off for some intangible, unpredictable future event? Like, let's start living in the moment. and say yes to what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Ironically, by doing that, you may live longer because you're happier too, right? So all of that. Let's focus on just general notes around health again, with the understanding that I'm looking at the energy of the health, and you'll work with a professional if there's anything else going on. Okay, so health this week. It's time to walk away from someone or something. It feels like for many of you, you've done it, but there may be some additional, for those of you that do have an existing contract with someone, it could be figurative, it could be literal. So let's say, for instance, maybe there's a divorce and there's children. There'll always be a connection here because of that, but you're going to manage that connection. And you've got a lot of boss cards and management cards here. For some of you, there may be residuals or some sort of legal thing, and you're tied to that, or the sooner you can get through that, the sooner you'll feel that sense of liberation. So dealing with the details of the devil energy in the contract, the sooner the better on that one. And then figuring out, if it is a persistent thing, how to kind of like compartmentalize that and then live your life beyond that. Okay, so there are certain things like that where we can't, again, this could also be someone in your life too, even ostensibly like a parent where they're not on a healthy track. You can't just cut them out, but you don't have to take on all of their stuff and you don't have to fix them. Okay, and that's what we're getting with these 3 cards here. Keep an eye out for some better stuff. We have lots of rainbows that came through today in the different cards. There's lots of things that want to avail themselves. In fact, that was our catalyst card. So as you start to build a firmer foundation in your life, new things start to reveal themselves. Someone else is like, I want some of that because you've been doing a good job on stuff. Literally, that's what we see, like some difficulty, some work, some reconstruction, and then the universe kind of peels back the onion skin, and then there's partnership, and there's joy, and there's opportunity as the last 3 cards. There's still a little bit to unpackage here with the King of Cups in reverse. It can be, we're also kind of entering into the latter part of the year where the holiday season is upon us. That can be triggering. Seasonal affect disorder, whatever it is, where basically the weather can affect you. There can be things like that there might be something else, whatever is going on. Deal with the emotional stuff ASAP, because that's the foundation. There's a reason I start with health, then go to wealth. And I build it like a sandwich that way: health, wealth, love, destiny. They kind of go out in the importance, but you have to have the foundational health first. There was a reason that I did that. Partnerships are coming in to help you this month and this week. So try to connect with that. And then, as I said earlier, just moderation. There's a lot going on in the headspace. Remember today we pulled the 10 of Swords, and it was a cognitive 10 of Swords with all the swords around our headspace. These are very thinking sort of oriented cards. Try not to think yourself into a prison. Try not to think yourself into limits. That's going to help out. This is a very solar plexus oriented illustration. Focusing on the core will help you out as well. Okay, let's move on to your wealth card. Resources, life purpose, career. Every journey starts with a single step. Well, I like that the cards are echoing what I'm saying, so I'm not a broken record. That was it. It was the second slide in my my totem discussion this morning about creating some action and allowing that to then be self-perpetuating. And all you have to do today and all you have to do tomorrow is take a step a day. So the step each day could be a call, an email, you moving something, whatever it is, just something small, keeping the action going. And as long as you're doing that, progress will invariably start to occur. Now let's take a look at this from 3 different perspectives for those that are starting or rebooting. And so this could be students or younger people or older people that are going back into the career force, or parents that are coming back after raising the kids. So a fresh start, we can just look at it that way. If you're taking a fresh start, again, what was in the past is in the past. What limited your parents, your family, or your community that you grew up in, that was their story. That's their narrative. It's not your narrative. Peel back the onion skin, see what else is out there. There is something good waiting for you. The thing here is some of you want to do something where you're giving back, because we have the 2 of Cups here. So that's pretty cool. So you might want to do something with with people as a part of it. It could be teaching, it could be nursing, it could be anything where you're helping others. Some of you are really business oriented and you're thinking your way through things right now. The key thing here is to do something that you love, but I am getting a lot of cognitive and a lot of social energy. And this week you can move the needle forward with socializing. This is a time to talk to people about what it is that you want to do. Talk to people that have done this. Get the wisdom of people who have been there, done that, made some mistakes and survived. And if you are looking for something new this week, an offer could be on the table at the end of the week. But we have to move through this. Like, you get to a place where you're like, I could take it or leave it. And that's when the universe is like, well, why not take it? If you're mid-career, you're already working. Some of you are there, as we talked about earlier, because you have to be there or feel like you have to be there. There may be a different path, and this week you're invited to look at it from a different perspective. Might be in a place where it's kind of top heavy or there's too much competition. You want to go to a place where you're received for exactly what you have to offer, where you can be enthusiastic, where your passion is recognized, not pushed away. So the most you can do in current situations is at least speak up and say what it is that you want and see if it comes through. If it doesn't, it's time to look around, because it feels like, just like I said, for those that are starting fresh or restarting, I think that there's a lot of interest in you this week. So you have a chance to make a splash if you want to. With all the water this week, make a splash. That's definitely a no. For those that are retired, unemployed, or disinterested in work altogether, what I am getting, again, is socializing. It feels like the people are the focus this week, not so much the resources. One last note, I do see improvement in your financial state right now, going from the Eight of Pentacles to the Nine of Pentacles. Then we have the Knight right on top of that. So things are improving and elevating. And there may have been some missteps in the past. This could be debt. This could be a contract that wasn't a good one, a lease that you regret, whatever it is. It does feel like the new foundation, which is what we're building now, is bigger, better, stronger. So just learn from experiences and don't beat yourself up. The devil likes that. So don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself. Most important form of forgiveness. All right, let's move on to love. We have the Tiger, and it says, I choose to be unstoppable. My passion is my power. I am bold, I am brave, mighty forces come to my aid. Well, all of that is true in this spread. The mighty forces, those are the Two of Cups coming through here. And then the boldness, well, we got the Queen energy right on top, as well as the King of Wands. Lots of fire, which is what this is all about. And this is a chance to get what you're looking for, quite honestly, which I like. Let me take a drink, and then we're going to look at love through the lens of passion. We're going to begin with those of you that are already in a loving relationship, and then we'll look at some other relationship types. If you're already in love, evenly met energy here. So King and Queen of Wands already showing up as partners. Feels like you've worked hard to build or rebuild something together. There's been some challenges in the past. It is attached to finances, so we actually see what the devil has to do with. So figuring out how to get more on top of money. Some of you also may wish that you had finished something, because the Eight of Pentacles can be like learning. So maybe it's getting a GED or going back and finishing college or finishing a project that has been sort of left in the background. So do that if you want to. This can also be a fear of commitment or in the relationship. I mean, because it's attached to money, I'm pretty sure it's financial, or but for some of you, it could just be about honesty in general, honesty with one another. And that is actually the most important piece. If you're not honest, there is no foundation. So if you've worked past it, everything else looks favorable. But if there's still something here that needs to be talked about, talk about it. Everything else I'm quite liking here. It looks like there's a lot of new resources and opportunities that are knocking on the door. There is a question of what do you want to do? So there's a little bit of existential stuff going on in the relationship, and making sure that you're both on the same page. There's an opportunity to rekindle and reconnect, because we have the passionate Two of Cups in the environment. you may not be feeling it. Your partner may want to do some fun things, vacation, maybe, have a date night or something, but you've got to focus on you first. Make sure you're getting your needs met. If your partner's really happy, but you're not happy, talk about what it is that you want. You have a chance to accomplish that. We see them coming back and saying, okay. It's a pretty optimistic spread, this card notwithstanding. As long as you're honest and you've dealt with something from the past and the past is the past, then everything else looks pretty good here. And that's my read for existing partnerships. The only thing here is there is some stubbornness. Sometimes I almost prefer like a different queen and king because they have complementary energy. This can be competitive. So let's walk away from competitive energy and let's not boss each other around because the devil enjoys that too. You don't want to force someone to do something or make them do it just because, they have no choice. It needs to be something that's more amenable. For those of you looking for love, can you find it? Yes, you can. Absolutely you can. 2 of Cups, Ace of Cups, 9 of Cups. It's probably water sign. It's a lot of water. Not a hard guess there. It could also be, for some of you, fire. This is interesting. Fire and water, not necessarily compatible. Certain things are, but not when the King of Cups is in reverse. So I think that, again, the most important thing here is you can't fix somebody and someone else can't fix or complete you. So that's the main thing for new relationships. I would even say that's for existing ones. You're not the doctor. You are the partner and you can help. Just like I say, I'm not a doctor here. I'm here to kind of like shed a light on things, but it's up to you to take it to the next level. So remember that as you engage in new partnerships. And it does feel like you have a choice between a couple here. One that has it together and one that may need a lot more. So be mindful of that before you kind of like go head over heels, which can also be what that is, because this person has a way of pulling you in. Okay, if you're single and happy, wow, you can get so much done this week. This is so much creativity and partnership energy. Like, even if you're not looking for love, you can work really, really well with other people. You can make new friends quickly. You have so much creative energy that's coming through. It's just a matter of focus, maybe more than anything, and not getting too sort of like caught up in one thing. But it's a great week overall. And most things are pretty manageable. There's something that's coming back from the past that wants to leave your life probably forever now, a lesson or an opportunity. Like, let's let go of this, because all of this wants to kind of like take off. And this is an anchor. So the sooner you can deal with that, the sooner all of this looks better. All right, let's look at your destiny card. Well, hello. This looks a lot like let's pull it up to the camera. This is like the 4 of Swords, folks, which we had earlier. It's almost identical. I'll see if I can grab that card from the stack. But signs from heaven. Thank you, heaven, for sending me reminders of your presence. Well, if you're like me, you probably get a lot of that through dreams. Let's see if I can find the card, because it's uncanny how much that one looks like it. Yeah, here it is. So these are different decks, but hello. Same amount of feathers. There are 4 feathers. There are 4 feathers. This is the 4 of Swords. The only thing missing here is the moon, but there are moonbeams shining on her. So hello, it's time to sleep, folks, if you're not sleeping, as I said earlier. So this is one thing that's coming through. Get enough rest. Pay attention to little things. Like I told you recently, I replaced the pillows. You can get a new bed. You can change up your comfort or your duvet. You can, repaint the bedroom, whatever it is that you want to do. But do something to sanctify the bedroom space so that you can rest. Meditate. Hold some space. Don't overbook your schedule. That's important. And when you start to get those signs and signals, follow through on them, right? All right, that was super synchronistic. I love it. I mean, that was uncanny. Different decks, identical illustration. We hear you, Spirit. And it's literally signs from heaven. Got it. Listening. So really pay attention to your dreams. If you don't do journals, you should. But you don't have to write it in a book, folks. You can do voice memo on your phone. You can also click it in your notes application as well on your phone. So think about that, because that's how I do it. I just like wake up and I write 3 or 4 words about the dream, and then I can usually go back into it in my waking hours. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So just jot a few words, or in your groggy half awake, half asleep voice, just kind of like say something about the dream and then turn off your phone and go back to sleep. That's a great way to start to understand like what the universe is trying to show you, and then you can get better at dream interpretation, which helps you with all kinds of interpretation as well. Let's pull a big idea card. And this, I feel like we need to look at two today, big ideas. We're going to look at the self-worth component, and then we're going to look at the net worth component. For self-worth, we have the Page of Pentacles. And for net worth, we have the Fool. These are interesting. Okay, so again, these are big ideas, trying to help us with the question of what you wanted me to look at today. So focusing on the self-worth, can't get much more on the nose than this. A Page of Pentacles. This is literally someone coming forth and saying, you're worth it. So universe is coming through and just saying, you've got this, you're worth it, you can do it. You also need to embody that feeling and that energy when you go to a negotiation table. I know it's easier said than done, but when you can really feel it, when you just know that you want something, and even if it is a moment of honesty, I really want this, but this is an unreasonable offer. It's amazing what can come through. And also, if you can just put your best foot forward, I think back to, I learned a lesson. So I had a really great kind of like first job, and then a not so great experience with one in between where I got underpaid. And then it hurt me when I was negotiating for my third job. What I had to do was get real with the third job when I was at the negotiation table. I said, you're judging me on a 6-month period of time when I was paid differently for 4 years prior to that. And I said, this makes no sense. You shouldn't just base it off my last salary when I was doing so much more for so much longer. I said, we need to meet it as, like, I want to work here. And I think my boss wants to hire me. It was human resources. And I said, what are we messing around with? Like, what? She said, what's your last and final? So I gave it and I got it. I was like, I won't take $1 less than this because it's ridiculous. I took a 10% cut from the previous one. They wanted me to do like a 25% cut, and it was a lot at that point in my career. And so I got it, but I had to really say, this isn't fair, and I really want to do this, and I want to stay here for a while. But it's also important. I learned my lesson. I'm not going to start low again. I'll never get back. And she was like, you're right. And so we met halfway. And my boss kind of laughed afterwards. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad it all worked out. That's not my thing, but I let them know that this was within budget and it was good. I actually got a better title because of it. They said, we'll have to give you this title. And I said, okay, that's fine. That's closer to what I should have. So, but I had to really feel the worth and the fire, and I did. And so don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You don't always get a chance to do a best and final, but you can get closer to it. And that was just one point where I was like, wow, sometimes you actually get exactly what you ask for. But I thought about it for a moment before I said it. I'm like, this is fair. And she knew it was fair too. So stand up for yourself. If you're negotiating for a house, same thing. If someone's trying to take off too much money and you've done a ton of home improvements and you're on the selling side, you can say no because this is this, and this. Do you want us to remove some things from the house before we leave? Because that's what you're asking for. We can meet you at this level, but nothing more because it costs this much to do it. So you can reduce or you can add, but it has to be realistic. Be realistic, be passionate, have that be your bottom line. So that was self-worth, but it's kind of net worth, but it's believing in yourself. You got to feel it. Like, I deserve this, or I worked for this, or I paid for this, and therefore this is an even exchange. I talked about this in one of my recent sign readings. It was either Aquarius or Pisces. My dad taught me this. Don't be afraid to walk away from an unreasonable deal. You don't need it or want it anyway. Who wants something that's not enough? This was the past. This is the future. Walk towards an opportunity that is inviting and welcoming for you, whether it's love, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job or an apartment, whatever. You're not walking away from something, you're walking towards something. And sometimes it's not obvious at first, but that's what I'm getting there. Don't settle. If you're going to move from one thing to another, don't settle. It should at least be lateral. It should be better than that. So it should be more than what the previous experience was. Okay? So that is my feedback on that. You are worth it. And if they can't see it, find someone who can. How do you like that for the big idea? All right. And again, that can be applied to any lens of your life. We're going to meditate now, and then we're going to take a look at a final card. Think about the final question that you have for me. So I do my best to make these all-inclusive, pretty unique every week. You're not going to get repeats with me. But there's always one thing that is special that's going on in your life right now. So jot it down or just hold it in your headspace. We'll look at it in a second. Dakota is usually good about saying this before we meditate. Like and subscribe. It helps. We'll talk more about that after. But we're going to meditate first to get our heads and our energy sort of in the right space. And then we will look at your final question that you have for me. All right. We're not going to let that worry. So take a nice deep breath, if you will. Close your eyes. Breathe in. On the exhale, I want you to just let go of any fear, anxiety, or any persistent thoughts that might be kind of swimming through your head at this point. We got a lot of stars today, and we got a lot of rainbows. I like the rainbow, though, because we haven't looked at the rainbow for a while. So if you will, imagine that a new day is dawning, that maybe like in Los Angeles, it was raining the other night, and the clouds are starting to clear, and you can see this beautiful band of color, a rainbow. And what it's showing you is that every single step that you've taken, the good, the not so good, the murky, the great, it's all been there to help you see something from a new perspective. I want you to focus on where the rainbow is pointing you in a direction of. As you close your eyes and breathe, imagine that you're breathing in each one of those colors, connecting them to your chakra system. And you feel like actually the rainbow's coming through you and pointing in a direction. Using your heart almost as a lens, see where that point, that end point is. And as we meditate, listen to your own higher self, listen to your spirit guides, and see what it is what comes to mind. Where do you want to be? What don't you want to see or be in your life? Allow all of these things to inform your next move or decision. Imagine also that the rainbow light is wrapping around you, kind of like a blanket. Take a nice deep breath. As you exhale, imagine that the sun is shining brightly, that a clear, clean path is in front of you. You've basically embodied and absorbed the energy of the rainbow, and you're setting the intention that things are about to get even better. I'd like you to focus now on a final question that you might have for me, whatever that question might be. Just hold it in your head, hold it in your heart, and let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, so again, we're looking at the final card here. Your answer to your silent question is the Two of Wands in reverse. If you can see it, you can do it. And if you doubt it, it becomes more difficult for that to manifest. So see it, believe it. But you're seeing it because you believe it. So it's basically, and this is absolutely connected to what we just talked about. So it's not seeing as believing, it's believing creates what you then see, and then that reinforces what you believe. So you have to really embody the vision of what it is that you're trying to accomplish and know that it is just something that you need to catch up with in the timeline. So whatever it is that you seek, it's already there, and it's now about creating synchronicities and being aligned enough to recognize the synchronicities as they avail themselves to you. This is a card of planning, of course, and I told you today would be a great day for planning. So, and this week in general. So plan, project, and really focus on keeping that vision in here and in here as you navigate through the week ahead. Okay? And that, my friends, brings this very special reading to a close. Before we wrap up, if you enjoyed any part of this, whether this is your first time or you've been watching a lot, but you never hit the subscribe, it's absolutely free. And this will help you make sure that you don't miss any future videos. You can also click the bell for basically some fine-tuned control on how many notifications you get. And you can do 1 like per video, but it helps a lot. Both lets me know that you like it and it helps other people find it the way the YouTube algorithm works out. You can also give me a follow on social media for reminders. If I do any impromptu readings or if there's news and updates, I always post it on social media. Very important. It's always my full name without any extra characters. I feel like I'm doing whack-a-mole lately on social media, pointing out any imposter accounts. I got one taken off on Twitter yesterday. If you ever have any questions, you can always go to my website as well, or the main About page here, and they're all linked out. But here's a big way to figure it out. I do not offer private readings. I'm not going to send you a message. If anyone says, I'm very drawn to you, just automatically, you know that's fake. So anybody using direct messages asking for money or has a weird profile name, it's fake, folks. I have to say this every reading because if I don't, then people will believe it. So again, you can always leave a comment in YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok and let me know if you see a fake one, and then I file a report and connect with them, and it takes a week or two sometimes. But please know I'm on top of it, and they do get taken down eventually, so thanks. If you'd like to give back, there's an easy way. We see a bunch of folks doing it here. It's always optional. I'll always say thank you. It's always in real time. So let's take a moment right now to say thanks. By the way, my schedule for posting is typically Monday, Thursday, and Friday, unless there's a holiday or other event. And I do a live stream every single Sunday. Plus, I do daily card reads. All right, so thanks to everybody, whether you're just hanging out here or you're here every week, you gave back, or you're just sitting back and watching, it doesn't matter. I'm just happy that you're here. But I'm going to take a couple moments to call out the newest members. And I saw that we had gifted memberships. I can't see everybody here in this view, but I just want to say in advance to the folks that gifted it, I'll be able to see when I go back, and I just want to say thank you. All right, so we should have a decent amount today because there was a bunch of gifted memberships, so I'll do my best to read quickly. Karen, Melody, Susie, Ureni, KV, Carrie, Lisa, Amanda, Luliana, Kimberly, Lisa, another Lisa here, Lisa Walters, Sarika, Denise, Astro Tarot, Sapolina, Janice, Sadie, Anita, Joanne, and MC. Thank you all, and a special thank you to the folks that gave and gifted those memberships. I'm going to scroll up and see if I can see some of those, but I think Eileen was one of them. Laura Martin was another one. I'm going to see if there's anyone else here. Cersei, I can't read the whole one, but that's a cool one. Thank you for gifting as well. Let's see, and I think that's it for the gifted ones. And now let's welcome, actually, super stickers. Thank you for all the participation and for giving back. It means a lot. I put a lot of energy into this, and I do appreciate it. Sammy B, I noticed that in the live stream when I was doing it. Thank you. Thanks for giving a little extra too. Joanna, Shayna, Lucy, Cass, Sarah, Jeannie, Melissa, no name, and Monica. Thank you guys for helping out there. And I saw that there were a couple of anniversaries as well, the ones that I can see. Deborah, thanks for 5 months. Let's see who else. I think there was one more anniversary. Maybe not. Yes, Cynthia for almost 2 years. Cynthia FS for 20 months. Thank you. I'm sure there were more, but that's all I can see because it holds me back from looking at it until after I've posted. And Janet, thanks for 8 months. I like that you guys enjoy this too. This is my fun hangout place as well. I always feel better afterwards. All right, that, my friends, brings us to a close. If I missed anybody, I know Dakota caught them, and I just want to say thank you. Thanks to everybody for making this a great community, for showing up here, and making it worth my while as well. All right, sending you lots of love and light. All of the October readings are on the main channel. You can go basically scroll on my main page, and you'll see there's a list. I'll try to move it up so it's the first one that you see featured, and you can check out all of the October readings. And I'll start the November ones this week, believe it or not. All right. Lots of love and light to all of you. Thanks again to Dakota for your help. And happy October, everybody. Bye-bye.